Mold illness is a real thing. The mold we have in our environment today, and I'm not talking about outside, I'm talking about inside the home. If there's been any kind of water damage, which would be a plumbing leak, maybe a roof leak, a water heater that exploded or leaked out, a dishwasher that leaked. There's so many different kinds of plumbing leaks that can happen around the house. And what I want you to understand is that today's mold makes you sicker than your great-grandma's mold. Because everybody's great-grandma had a musty smelling house, but what's the difference now? Why are people getting sick? Well, there's a couple of reasons. In the early 70s, DuPont, which was the major paint manufacturer, started putting anti-fungal chemicals in the paint so that we could prevent some of this mold from growing. But what happens, mold is a smart little organism, and you put a poison in its path and it's going to over time mutate and develop so that it becomes stronger than the poison and it can survive. Same thing happened with our crops. We began using a lot of antifungal sprays on some of our crops that were prone to fungus. And because of those chemicals, the molds grew to be more pathogenic. So here we are. People can get mold illness, and there's so many symptoms that mimic other things that you may not realize that's what's wrong with you. So I'm going to go over some of the common symptoms that you've been around toxic mold. First of all, just allergy symptoms, sneezing, runny eyes, asthma. There's many different kinds of respiratory symptoms that can happen with mold. Red eyes, if your eyes always have kind of a pinkish tint to them and are a little bit glassy looking, that's one of my cues to take a look for mold. Others can be relate to the urinary tract. Maybe you have excessive thirst. Little kids oftentimes will exhibit bedwetting as a sign they've been exposed to mold. You can have symptoms that mimic hormone imbalances, hair loss. You can have rashes. There are neurological symptoms that go along with mold toxicity as well, because it is toxic to your nervous system. So we're talking numbness, tingling, little bit of balance issues perhaps, a metallic taste in the mouth, dizziness or vertigo, ringing in the ears, digestive issues, especially when you've breathed in mold and you have colonies that set up in your sinuses. You're constantly having a little bit of postnasal drip that happens all day long. If you've got fungus in your sinuses, that postnasal drip goes right down into your GI tract and can cause digestive symptoms for you. Think of all the people that take reflux medicines when it could be as simple as fungal sinusitis that hasn't been recognized. Fatigue. I almost forgot a big one. Severe fatigue. You might think you have fibromyalgia. You might think you have Lyme disease, because a lot of these symptoms mimic those symptoms. Cognitive difficulties, brain fog, can't find your words, inability to remember things. Those are very, very common with mold toxicity. And then finally, unexplained weight gain or loss. So as I review those symptoms, you can see many other things can cause those. But if you have a few, you want to rule out mold. And I have a very easy way for you to do that. So CitriSafe makes a great mold testing kit, and you can test your body and around your house. It has 4 little petri dishes, just like this, inside. And what I do in my office is I take one petri dish, take a Q-tip, swab one side of the nose, and then turn it around, swab the other side, and then just right with the, run those back and forth across the medium in the petri dish. And then I have you hold the petri dish up to your mouth and cough 3 good times. The other 3 you can use to test around your environment. Test your car. You wouldn't believe how many cars get mold in them. It could be something obvious like I left the windows down when it rained, but it can also be, hey, I'm carting my kids to swimming practice and there's wet bathing suits in the car. And certain cars are known for developing mold in the air conditioning and heating, and BMW is one that they've had to fix some of those. So anyway, mold can be almost anywhere. So use the other three of these dishes to test around your home and your car and so forth. When you do these, the SentrySafe kit is going to give you instructions on how to wrap these up and let them grow for 3 to 5 days before you look at them. But in their instructions, they get one thing backwards. I like you to put these in a baggie and seal it up. Label each Petri dish as to what room you were taking the sample from, and then seal it up. Then wrap it in foil. The instructions say wrap it in foil first and then seal it in a baggie, but no, you don't want to breathe any of that in if mold grew in it. So when you open that foil 3 to 5 days later, then you can just see very easily, did something grow in there? And there's full instructions in the SentrySafe mold kit to tell you how to do that, how to take an air sample and how to tap test for mold growing on upholstery, carpet, things like that. It's not always visible. People think, well, I don't see any mold anywhere. I don't smell any mold anywhere. That's not your sign. So what do you do if you open those Petri dishes and you learn, oh no, I have mold in my body? You're going to order the NasoPure rinsing system. It comes with a little squeeze plastic bottle. In fact, I'll show you. Just like this. There's a little salt pack that you put inside. Be sure you use distilled water. And then you're going to get the citri drops, which will kill fungus in your sinuses. So you're going to start with 4 drops in your rinse. And after you've gotten used to it for a few days, you gradually work that up to 8 drops. And when you make the mixture, you're going to put the little valve in one nostril, lean over the sink, and you can regulate the pressure on this. It's not very harsh. You're just going to squeeze. It's going to go in one side, out the other side. It's kind of similar to a neti pot, but with a with a neti pot, you have to tip your head sideways and let gravity do it. Well, that can put pressure on your ear, and I don't like that. So use this one where you can go straight forward. Do half the bottle in one nostril, blow your nose, half the bottle in the other nostril, blow your nose. Oh my gosh, what a fabulous feeling after you clear that stuff out. You can do it once a day or twice a day. Lots of washing machines, particularly front loaders, can develop mold in the washing machine. So you wash and dry your clothes, or even worse, you wash and hang your clothes to dry, and you can get mold growing in the fabric of your clothes. Again, not visible, but you're breathing this all day long or sleeping on the sheets or whatever, and it's not a good thing. So on the Microbalance Health website, which is in the link tree, they do make a laundry detergent that is anti-mold. You can also use 20 Mule Team Borax, which you can get at the grocery store, and that is also anti-mold. If you do samples around your house and you find that there is mold that you get in the samples, first of all, the best solution, especially if you get a lot of it, more than 3 spots a sensitive person will react to, more than 7 or 8 spots anybody will react to. And if you get, I've seen plates just full of mold after they grew. If that's your case, if you've got a lot of it, then you need to call a professional in to come examine your home. But if it's just a little bit and you want to take the mold down so you can feel better, here are 2 great options. Again, on the Microbalance Health site, this is a spray that you can mix up, and you can just spray down your carpets, your upholstered furniture, and it will take mold down. I like to have people spray once every 1 to 2 weeks for 3 or 4 times, and then once a month to be sure that you keep it down. Because usually mold comes from someplace, your HVAC or, some old leak, that is getting into your environment. So you want to continue to retreat, and you can always retest later and see if you need to retreat. This is a candle. And I will say, if you order these candles and burn them, you want to use a plate underneath because this is metal and it gets very hot. You don't want to ruin your furniture. But this candle you can burn for 3 hours the first time. And then I believe it's once every 2 days you burn it for an hour. The instructions are on here. This will also take mold out of the environment. When you're dealing with mold illness, there are many factors to consider. Number one, you have to get out of the moldy environment. If you're ill from mold and you're still trying to live there and you don't handle it, it's going to be impossible to get well. So that's the bad news. The next thing you have to do is you have to go ahead and do the nasal rinse like I was talking about. And then you want to use what's called binders. Binders are substances that will join together with the mold, pull it out of your body. If you feel that you have mold illness, DM me. I can give you some more information. It's too much to go over in a video like this, but I suffered from mold illness myself, and I have quite a heart for helping people with this condition, and I'd be happy to help you too.